Oh my god, feels like I'm riding a roller coaster.
Now this goes much faster than the roller coaster, babe.
Yeah. The faster edition.
Look at her.
She's just so curious. Look at that, baby.
Again, I'll try to give you a little history of the train, but if you have any questions, I'd rather talk about things that interest you. Just yell them out. I'm really good with easy questions. Hard questions, there's no Wi-Fi, you can't check.
It's a Wi-Fi you can check for the hard questions.
Now, as we go over this bridge,
Oh, look at that. It's a river down there.
River. The Amazonian River has its origins on two small rivers up the mountain, just below the southern. They are the highest water bodies east of the Mississippi. The water comes down our mountain.
That's the tree, babe, that I saw him.
About 35 miles to our west,
It's
in the town of Littleton.
small fruits.
It connects with the Connecticut River. And eventually this water ends up in Long Island Sound, the Atlantic Ocean. Once Stephen clears the bridge, he's going to boost the engine a bit. As you might imagine, it takes a bit of effort to get up the hill. You'll feel the acceleration. You may want to brace yourself. Hold on. It's going to drive you right into the back of your seat.
What is woods, babe? Right?
Yeah, feel that acceleration?
Here we go.
Is it
You ready?
the G-force? Like a broken piece of rail.
I know. Wow. I really feel like we're in Europe, babe.
Is she awake?
Yeah, she is.
And here we are, Stephen has signaled we've reached our top speed of 5 miles an hour.
5 miles per hour.
Now take the stand if you like. Again, you can walk up and down the aisles, spread out a little bit if you'd like to. Just remember, walking to the front of the car is relatively easy. Going back, gravity may help you more than you care for.
Right there, you can go back to see.
Now you look straight ahead, you can see Cold Spring Hill. Cold percent. That means for every 100 feet forward we go, we gain 31 feet in altitude. Normally a train can't operate on a pitch any greater than 7%. After that, the steel wheels can't gain traction on the steel track. But we are the first mountain climbing railroad in the world, and that's due to the innovation of a gentleman named Sylvester Mark. What a moose!
Where?
You scared him. You scared him.
Now, if you're really, really quiet coming down the hill, I bet he'll still be there. And if you just take a picture real quick, your mother-in-law will never notice the difference.
No, we missed it.
No.
Sylvester Marsh was born in New
They're not
Hampshire in
real.
1802. By the time he was 19, he'd walked down to the city of Boston, about 130 miles away. He set up a meat provisions business. After a few years of successful operation, he decided he'd try his luck out west. He traveled to a small trading post, community of about 300. He set up his business and has his business
So
flourished.
woods are just
Started that
like-
community.
Huh?
Marsh is known as one of the
Right,
founding
right.
fathers of the city of Chicago. For much of his innovations, Both the meatpacking industry and the grain shipment industry flourished. And by the time he was 54, he decided to retire and return to his native New Hampshire. Once he got back, his doctor told him he had a few minor ailments that required him to take some long walks and get some fresh air. So of course that meant he had to climb Mount Washington. He and a companion climbed the mountain in 1857. They went up a bridle path very close to where we are now. They documented that their hike was very pleasant until they reached or approached the summit. With just a little ways to go, the winds picked up, the clouds came in, visibility was only a few feet, and the temperatures dropped drastically. Marsh documented the last 800 yards of the hike were by far the most arduous. But they were able to make it to the summit of the mountain. And once there, they were able to spend the night in a stone hotel, the Tip Top House, built in 1853, catering to hikers. That building still exists. It's the last original structure still on top of the mountain. You'll be able to visit that when you get up there. After spending the night, Marsh woke up to a lovely morning, light breeze, pleasant views, and he thought if he could find a way to bring the general public up and down the mountain without having to make them walk, he may well be able to turn a profit. Now, he was very familiar with the standard railroads would never be able to make the slopes on the mountain, but it said he was inspired by a bicycle. If you look down the center of our track, you'll see what we call the rack. The rack looks very much like a bicycle chain laid end to end. Underneath our engine, we have giant gears, cogs. As the diesel engine turns the cogs, the teeth of the cogs climb that metal ladder right to the top of the mountain. Our wheels and rails are here only for balance. All the propulsion, all the braking is done on that center rack. Once Marsh built a working model to demonstrate that a train could go up and down the mountain, he went to the state of New Hampshire seeking a charter to build his railroad. The legislators greeted him with a great deal of skepticism. They actually referred to him as Crazy Marsh in the minutes of the meeting. But once he convinced them that he was looking to undertake the venture using his own funds, he wasn't seeking any monies from the state of New Hampshire. They granted him a franchise and told him, as an addendum, they added on, telling him once he made it to the top of the mountain, he had their permission to continue right along and build a railway to the moon. Now, they meant it as an insult, but it's a nickname we've adopted. We've been rather proud of it for the last 150 years. But just after the end of the Civil War, construction began in 1866, and with a crew of about 325 men, the rail bed was cleared, rails were laid, and the first paying customers made it to the top of the mountain on July 3rd, 1869. Later that summer, President Ulysses S. Grant rode the railway, as did P.T. Barnum. When Mr. Barnum stepped off the train on the top of the mountain, he declared the Cog Railway to be the second greatest show on earth. Now come on, you're on Cold Spring Hill, one of the steep parts. Now if you take a quick look out the side, you'll see all our trees appear to be crooked.
Look at the other trail
Oh, look
there.
at they do.
When people ask, I tell them the reason they're crooked is because
the trees appear to look
every
crooked.
Arbor Day we bring politicians from all over the country to come help us plant trees. But in reality, those trees are going right straight to the sun. There's a mountain and a railway that are on a bit of a tilt.
Look at that thing.
Now, in a few moments, we'll will be at the lower Lombard switch. We're going to be shuttled off onto the right. We're going to pass several trains coming down the mountain. The first train we're going to pass is our antique steam engine. He stopped at the water tank. He needs 1,000 gallons of water to make it up and down the mountain. He only holds about 750 gallons, so he needs to stop and top off his tank. That's the last remaining water tank here on the mountain. By these engines coming down the hill, take a look underneath. You'll see that giant cog and the way it interacts with the rack. Our passing loop allows us to take as many as 4 trains up the mountain at the same time we bring 4 trains down. By the water tank, we will have gained 1,100 feet in altitude since leaving the station.
Smoking.
Now these people all seem to be healthy and happy. They made it up to the top of the mountain and back.
It looks like the train
Your
stop is
chances are
crooked,
good.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh, looks like we may have lost a couple.
Ah, they can stop, huh? In the middle.
Yeah.
Now, no promises, but in all likelihood, this orange train is a train that will be coming up in an hour's time to pick you up.
Ah,
I can't guarantee that. The only thing I can guarantee is not going to be the yellow one.
we won't ride
Now,
the
as we go
same.
up the mountain, you may notice we have a numbering system here on our wooden support. They're there for 2 reasons. Most importantly, again, as I go up the mountain, I'm keeping an eye on the track, making sure everything's in place. If I see something I think needs some attention, I can tell our track maintenance crew, go up to stand 436, it looks like a clip may be loose. They know right where to look. They can make a minor adjustment if necessary, or they can tell me, nope, everything's just the way it ought to be.
You hold like this way. So you're gonna feel
Now the handy use of the numbers on days when the visibility is down around 30 to 40 feet, it's really nice to see those numbers and have an idea of where we are.
like that.
Fred, has there ever been any accidents? Have there ever been any train
Upside down or
accidents?
something?
The question is, has there ever been any train accidents? Yes, there have been several. One occurred in 1902. We had a fatal accident where a photographer was, during a ceremony, was standing on the back of an engine, and at one of the steeper parts of our track, he decided to take a step back to get a better picture, and he took one step back too many. And in 1967, we had an unfortunate incident that there was a misplaced switch. Wasn't sure whether or not there was error on a cog employee or whether or not a hiker moved the switch, but a train derailed and we resulted in 8 fatalities. And other than that, we've had a few minor accidents, but no injuries, no more fatalities. Since 1869, we have been rated one of the safest railroads in the world.
Look at this, babe. This one is
Wow.
yeah, like that.
Now, if you're a little afraid of heights, I suggest looking out to the right. Marvel at the trees and the rocks. So looking off to the left, you're looking into Burke's Ravine. Burke's Ravine drops down about 1,800 feet just beyond these trees. You look across the ravine, you can see the other slopes on the other side. See just how steep the mountain can be.
Wow. So steep, dude. Ooh. Wow, it's pretty landscapes.
Those pretty flowers, the pink flowers.
What's this? Maintenance by outlet. Here we go. That's the view, babe. Yeah. Oh, we're close to this tree. Orange tree.
Now in just a few moments we'll be passing the halfway house. And as its name implies, we're halfway up the mountain. Early on in our operations, our steam engines were wood-fired. They couldn't carry enough fuel to make a complete round trip to the top of the mountain and back.
Wow.
So we had one train based at the top of the mountain, one at the bottom. They would shuttle passengers back and forth to the halfway house. When the trains met, passengers would switch from one car to another. And then the trains would head back to their starting points.
Oh my God, look at that.
The
Wow.
building's now used as a break room for our maintenance crew. Also a storage area for some tools. The very front of the building has a picture window in it. Acts as a great mirror. I should just look to your right and watch your reflection. And that building is absolutely level. You're not. Now that we've gained just a little more in altitude, we can look across the ridge of the Burke Ravine. You're looking pretty much due north. The state of New Hampshire extends another 70 miles to the north. After that, you're looking at Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada, babe.
Today is reduced a little bit by the fires in northern Canada. But we've got about 60-65 miles of views from the top of the mountain. Looking off to the left to the 7 o'clock position or so, you're looking west.
Looks like
The mountains in the distance are the state of Vermont.
signage.
That's the state of Vermont.
Now we're about to go on my favorite part of the track. We're going to be on Jacob's Ladder Trestle. It's about 300 feet long, turn in the center of it,
Wow.
30 feet off the ground, and by far the steepest part of our track.
Oh my God.
At 37.4%, I'm standing can see the Lakes and Clouds Hiker's Hut operated by the Appalachian Mountain Club.
My hair, baby.
Down below that
My hair.
is the Emmerse River coming down the mountain. And the mountain off to it, beyond there are the Southern Presidential, Mount Monroe, Mount Eisenhower.
We're almost there at the top, babe.
Yeah.
Now you may have noticed, I like
Oh
my
my
hat.
God.
I leave it inside until you know what the wind's doing on top. I suggest holding onto your hat, your eyeglasses, your phone, small children.
Your infants.
Oh my God. Look at this, babe. On the left.
Oh my God.
They may notice our trees are
OMG.
getting rather small. We're just over the 5,000 foot elevation.
5,000
That's considered tree line here on Mount Washington.
foot elevation.
Everywhere else in the world, tree line's closer to 10,000
Right
feet.
behind us.
Oh my God.
But our climate stunts the growth of the trees.
Oh my.
Dartmouth College has done a number of studies regarding the plant life here on Mount Washington.
There are no
Even though
trees.
some of these
Trees,
trees
yeah.
are no more than 3 feet tall, the college has determined that they are at least 150 years old.
Wow.
Oh.
Only 3 feet tall, but 150 years old. Like bonsai, babe.
Wow, yeah, they became a
They
nature.
grow-
Now, if you look off to the left, you're looking almost due west.
Look at
Yeah.
all those
The
rocks.
roadway you can see is US Route 2. Its origin is at the Atlantic Ocean and the coast of Maine. It goes across the top of the country, ends up in the Pacific Ocean in Oregon. Now, if your eyesight is particularly good, take a look at that roadway. Look just a hair to the right. That house with the blue curtains, that's mine.
Babe, the rocks are shining.
Yeah.
They're
They're
shining.
green. They got mold.
As we go up the mountain, we go through 4 different temperate zones. We've just left an alpine zone, and we are entering into an Arctic zone. The climate here is similar to what you would find if you drove 800 miles north.
They just
And this ridge line off to our left, the
Wow.
world disappears. It's at the edge of the Great Gulf. Just beyond the ridge, the Gulf drops down about 3,000 feet.
Oh my God, I cannot move.
Thank you. Oh man, it's getting slow. Wow, wow.
Crazy.
Off to our left, we're getting our first views of the northern presidential mountains. Presidential range got its name here in structure back in 1824. A group of prominent citizens hiked up Mount Washington and decided to start naming other mountains. The second highest mountain was named for our second president, Adams, then Jefferson, Madison, and on the south side of Mount Washington, Mount
There's a marker
Monroe.
over there.
At that point, they stopped naming mountains because in 1824 they'd run out of presidents. However, did you realize Mount Washington is not named to honor President Washington?
Huh? Say,
It was named to honor General George Washington 4 years before he became president.
Before he became president. Look at
There's
these
a summit.
rocks.
Now that we're above tree line, you'll start seeing these little stone pyramids. They're called cairns. They're placed there as aids to hikers. On a lovely clear day like this, it's easy enough for a hiker to see the trail. But when the visibility is reduced, the cairns are spaced 40 to 50 feet apart. As long as a hiker can see 30 feet in front of him or 30 feet behind him, he can safely stay on the trail.
Wow.
Looking off to our left, we're looking at mountains in the state of Maine. You may be able to just barely make out a line of white windmills a little bit to the right. They're about 65 miles away.
yeah, it's gonna be thin. Look at that.
Wow.
Now another purpose of those cairns is even in good weather, it's a hope that the hikers will stay on the trail. As they walk across this Arctic grass, the grass is so delicate, it may take a year for it to recover from a single footstep.
Wow.
Oh my God.
In front of us, we got our first glimpses of the Sherman Adams building, the state park where we're going. That's on the top of the mountain. The building has restroom facilities, snack bar, gift shops. We have our own post office.
Down
You
there.
can send yourself home a postcard with a Mount Washington cancellation stamp. The top of the building is a flat observation deck. Encourage you to get up there, feel the full brunt of the wind today.
Wow.
Directly behind the
That's an
building
observation
is the
deck up there.
summit of Mount
Oh, yeah?
Washington. Very popular place to have your pictures taken. And this round turret on this end is the Mount Washington Weather Observatory. In the basement of the building is a weather museum. Your train ticket will gain you access to that.